Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, now maybe we're ready. No promises this evening. Before getting started with our dose of hope, we need to take a moment to say thank you to Ollie. Oh, and that didn't change, did it? There we go. To say thank you to Ollie at UNCA for hosting our monthly programs and all the quality tech assistance they so graciously provide, and you can already see how much that is needed. It is Ollie's mission to promote opportunities to thrive in life's second half through programs in lifelong learning, leadership, community service, and research. Explore, enjoy, and protect the planet. This is the Sierra Club motto. When you join our local Sierra Club, you join the national and state Sierra Clubs as well. As part of the National Sierra Club, you will receive a monthly magazine on national issues and projects. You will also be exposed to issues and opportunities at the state and local level right here with us. And you will learn about state Sierra Club initiatives as well as being able to attend our local meetings. And because of this, we have some important projects coming up that we need for you to know about. One is on March the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, and you may want to participate in this. And more information about this will be on our website as well. But the North Carolina Utilities Commission is holding a public hearing on Duke Energy's proposed carbon plan and integrated resource plan on Tuesday, March the 17th. The proposed plan is a disaster for North Carolina families, and the plan delays coal plant retirements, increases natural gas generation, reduces solar build-out, and eliminates long-term planning for onshore or offshore wind or hydroelectric resources. The proposed plan won't reduce greenhouse gas emissions until the late 2030s, which seriously restricts the ability of ratepayers to make urgent necessary progress towards sustainability goals. In addition, Duke Energy still plans to increase rates, forcing us to foot the bill for their dirty energy generation. The Sunrise Movement of Western North Carolina members will be showing up at the hearing to voice our disapproval of this disastrous plan. We invite all concerned residents to attend and voice their concerns about paying more to fund polluting, unsustainable energy and unsustainable energy generation. And again, this will be Tuesday, March the 17th at 2026 at 7 p.m. in the Buncombe County Courthouse, 60 Court Plaza. Full information about the public witness hearing can be found at ncuc.gov under the Hearings Meetings tab. And again, that information is also going to be on our website, so you may look for it there as well. And also tonight, we are fortunate to have with us from the state office, Michal Brzezinski and Marianne Sanders, and we are very happy they can be with us to make that trip, and they're going to tell you about some important things coming up.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michal Brzezinski. It's like U-Haul, but Michal. I am the state grassroots organizing manager, and this is...
Hi, everyone. I'm Marianne Sanders. I'm a field organizer based in the Charlotte area, but I work with all of our local groups in the western half of North Carolina, so that includes you all out here in western North Carolina as well.
Yeah, and we're really happy to meet. We know some of the faces here, very familiar, but I know we're a little strange to many of you. Excited to have the opportunity to come up to visit one of our strongest, most active local groups in the country, frankly. And for that reason, you might not have seen as much of us. We're covering the whole state, and we're busy helping out where we're most needed. That being said, we want to be available to you, introduce ourselves, and then most importantly, tell you about a couple of important conservation issues coming up. So as Nancy importantly pointed out, the rate case hearings are coming up soon, and that is a big fight that is being held across the state. Duke Energy really did some very naughty stuff last summer with Senate Bill 266, and our energy costs are going to explode and have already been rising dramatically, impacting everybody in this room and all North Carolinians, as well as failing their responsibility as responsible stewards for a clean energy transition here in North Carolina. But I think one of the biggest issues that we're looking at right now is, and you may have heard this from some of your other local leaders, but the roadless rule. I won't talk too long about this. It's an administrative change being proposed by the Trump administration to remove a rule that preserved millions of square miles of land across the United States from having roads cut into them through our national forests. Unfortunately, during this administrative change, it looks like the administration will not be offering public comments or public comment hearings for us to attend. So the National Sierra Club, in collaboration with a swathe of partners across the country, is holding rallies. And here in the Southeast, the largest effort is going to be a rally here in Asheville on April 15th, 6 p.m. at the Mule here in Asheville. So we're really looking to get as much support as possible, as many comments placed as possible. You will also be allowed to place a comment, and we will be helping coordinate with that. That being said, this is a critical issue. If we value here, our Pisgah and Nantahala National Forests are two of the only roadless areas in the state of North Carolina, and it's important for us to preserve that, because once they build those roads, there's really no going back to it being a roadless area. Happy to talk more about it in the future or after this meeting, but you'll be hearing more about us. There will be promotion, everything like that, but we really hope to see as many of you as possible at that hearing, at that rally on the 15th, again, 6 p.m. at the Mule. Thank you.
And thank you, Mihal and Marianne. That's definitely important information, and hopefully some of us will be able to attend that meeting. And also we have that I think I've already done. An important local project that's coming up in the near future, which is critical to Sierra Club at both the local and the state levels. And arguably, this is probably the most important thing that Sierra Club participates in. And that happens in November when the Western North Carolina Sierra Club will be recruiting volunteers to work the polls for Sierra Club endorsed candidates for the November general election, which actually begins with early voting starting in October. So plan now to reserve some time in your schedule to volunteer to help get those endorsed Sierra Club candidates elected. This will be an important election where turnout will be everything. So consider that as well. And now, it is our custom at Sierra Club to take a moment at each meeting to acknowledge with respect that the land we are on today, literally beneath our feet, is the ancestral land of the Cherokee. We thank them for protecting our forest and our environment for so many generations. Tonight, as always, we are offering both the ability to enjoy our program in person, here in the Reuters Center, and in a Zoom format, as we do the first Wednesday of almost every month at 7 p.m. Also, each month prior to our program, we have a leaders meeting which is open to anyone interested in helping us determine future programs and other projects. This meeting begins at 5 p.m. in the first classroom at the top of the steps, which I think is classroom 265. And you may also want to join this meeting by Zoom as well, if needed. And should you be interested in joining us, please contact Judy Maddox at judymaddox15@gmail.com. Sierra Club offers extra activities besides monthly programs for members and guests to enjoy as well as engage with the community. One of the most rewarding and a great accomplishment of the Western North Carolina Sierra Club is our Kids Adventure Club. And now, board member Rod Campbell is here to tell you more about this program and what you can do to get involved.
Hey, everybody. So he's not here today, unfortunately, but Ed Maggart leads the Kids Adventure Club. So they are currently on week 6 of 10 of their Asheville Middle School Trailblazers Club. They went birding at Beaver Lake this past Monday. There's also going to be some summer outings with city center camps that are being planned right now. And if you want to get involved with this, just reach out to Ed.
Okay. And a long-standing favorite adult activity is our monthly hikes. And to tell you more about those hikes and the opportunities being offered to you this month, once again, is Rob Campbell.
It's been so long. So yeah, we have 4 different hikes coming up this month, actually. So it's going to be a busy month for our outings. So March 15th, I'm going to be leading a hike at the Rich Mountain Fire Tower over near Hot Springs. It's about a 5-mile hike that takes you up to a fire tower with a really great 360-degree view of the surrounding areas. And then after that, on March 19th, David Reed is going to be leading a hike at Cornmill Shoals in DuPont State Forest. So it's a moderate hike, about 6.5 miles round trip, a little over 550 feet elevation gain. He'll be leading that one, so please feel free to reach out to him if you're interested in that. And then March 29th, one of our new leaders, Amber Fox, is going to be leading a hike to Sam's Gap in Marshall, which is a really great hike. I've done that before. So they're taking the ridge line for about 5 miles there on that hike. That's March 29th. Please reach out to her if you're interested in that. And then finally, March 31st, Ed is going to be leading a hike to Johns Rock in Pisgah, another really great one. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to reach out to Ed. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, for all those good words. And also tonight, we have a couple of other interesting items you should know about. And first up, we have Casey Fowler. Is Casey still here? Yes, at the back. Okay. And she's going to bring you news about Electrify Asheville Buncombe.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Awesome. So I am with Electrify Asheville Buncombe. We are the pilot program for the state of North Carolina. We are an electrification marketplace where we found local contractors in the area offering renewable and efficient electric services, appliances, and products to help get Buncombe County homeowners to basically improve their home's energy efficiency and reduce their energy burden. And one of the ways we also do this is by scheduling one-on-one home energy navigator appointments, which is where we meet with you one-on-one for free and answer any of your questions that you may have about upgrading your home and any incentives or financing available to you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, do you ever find yourself feeling like you are living in the brave new world? And it may feel that way because we are in a new universe of technology and information with a lot of positives and some not so positives that come with it. An active local member of WNCC Rec Club, Cindy Robertson, who has been very instrumental in stopping crypto mining centers in our area and elsewhere, will be here along with members of the National Coalition to present an up-to-the-minute program on crypto mining and AI data centers with the National Coalition Against Crypto Mining, which will be the first Wednesday in April, a month from now, on April Fool's Day. So we hope you can be back and join us for that as well. Yes, there is kind of a feedback problem. Does that help? Yes, that does seem to help. Maybe? Better? Still? Lower the better? Oh, further. Okay. Usually I have to stand closer. Okay. So this is better? No? Turn the volume now. Is that better? Now is that better? Okay. Thank you. Sorry about all of that. Right, stick around. Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Are we good? Oh, thank you. All right. Well, just raise your hand or scream at me one. And now, what a pleasure it is to be here tonight with our speaker. If any of you know Dot Sulak, then you know she is a bundle of boundless energy and hope, which is so extremely fitting for the title of her presentation to be Hope and International Energy. Dot Sulak taught math at the University of North Carolina, Asheville, for 40 years and is one of the longest tenured teachers at Ollie. She primarily teaches about renewables, nuclear stuff, and the United Nations. As a preview to her presentation, Dot has said, Scientists and engineers have made renewable energy cheaper than fossil fuel energy all over the place. Scientists and engineers are creating, excuse me, creating new kinds of cheaper storage that will allow renewables, sometimes intermittent, to do it all. Renewables are sufficient to provide all the energy for the world. Happily, the rest of the world gets it. We'll be talking about new renewables, new storage, and why they are going to save the world. Does that not sound energetic and hopeful? We will be taking questions at the end of Dot's presentation, so for those of you in the room, please hold your questions until then, and those on Zoom may put your questions in the chat box at any time. And we will give those to Rob to share and Rob will give us those to share during the Q&A as well. So sit back, enjoy, and get your questions ready. Thank you so much, and now it is my pleasure to present to you our own Dot Sulak. Let's make her welcome.
This one, right?
Yeah. How do I change from slide to slide?
Use the forward and backward buttons. You see the arrows?
Yeah. Okay, got it.
All right, good luck.
I'm very suspicious of this mic. Is it? Yeah, it's actually working. It's not making any weird noises yet. Okay, great. I'll try to stay exactly this distance away. Maybe I can look sideways at my thing. Yeah, so this title is Judy Maddox's title, actually. She said, how about this title, Hope in International Energy? And I thought, well, that sounds kind of weird, but it's a good title. And it's exactly what the talk is about. So, yeah, so just so I teach a class at Ollie called Renewable Energy Around News from Around the World. And every class, we do that stuff from that week's news. And so this class keeps going on, but the news changes, so it's not the same class semester after semester. And this talk is kind of a summary of the last 6 weeks of courses. The courses themselves, the Ollie courses, have real interesting videos in them. So we go around the world and see these videos of what everybody is doing around the world and everything like that. It's really great. There's no videos tonight. Sorry about that. Judy said I had not enough time for videos. So so when I was reading the internet, I ran into this just the other day, this thing by Jane Goodall, and I really identified with, if you look at the whole picture, it is overwhelming and terrifying. But if you work on your little part of the jigsaw and know that people all over the world are working on their little bits, that's what will give you hope. And sadly, the U.S. is kind of an oasis of dumbness when it comes to renewable energy, and the rest of the world kind of gets it, and so that's real exciting. So I'm a math teacher, so I like graphs, and this is obviously a happy graph. Renewables will be the world's top power source by 2026. Notice that they kind of clumped renewables all together and kept those fossil fuels kind of separate, which allowed them to say this. But on the otherwise, you see that renewables are getting higher than coal. That didn't used to be so. I've taught this subject for decades, and long ago renewables were nothing, and now renewables are something big. I thought you would really interested in this. It comes from the International Energy Association. 2026 renewables will make up to 36% of global power supplies. You should be impressed with that. 36% across the world, not in the US. That's a lot. This is money. Bloomberg's New Energy Finance Annual Energy Transition Investment Trends finds that global investment into the energy transition, that's to renewables away from fossil fuel, hit a record $2.3 trillion. Big money is doing the right thing here. It's not just poor, good people. It's big corporations, and it's partly because renewable energy is so cheap. They're not all overly moral. They're economically wise. This is wonderful. Now, of course, the reason why we're here at all is because we're worried about greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. And we're trying to save the planet for our children and grandchildren and God and things like that. So I just thought that you would want to look at the width of those little bars, shows you where the CO2 emissions are coming from. And you can see the CO2 emissions are going up. And you can see that I want you to be thinking about electricity and heat, transport, manufacturing and construction, agriculture. Way up at the top is aviation and shipping. So we'll come back to this graph again, just so you'll get the whole picture. You sort of know that you can do renewable electricity kind of easily. Heat is challenging. More people in this room have electric cars than have electric heat. We can do electricity renewably. We have to electrify all those things to decarbonize. And some of those things are hard to electrify. This is a different source of data. That one was Our World in Data, a really nice website. I recommend it. This is a different website, and it's slightly different numbers, but you see again, you got to worry about industry, electricity, agriculture, transport. Look at how that graph came down there in transport. Isn't that exciting? This is global greenhouse gas emissions by sector. And look at the end, transport is coming down, agriculture is coming down, industry and electricity are coming down. That's kind of hopeful. It's partly because of this. You pay, 11, 12 cents a kilowatt hour for your electricity. So the people producing the electricity have to, and that's cheap. North Carolina electricity is cheap. So you have to produce electricity for less than that in order to make a profit. But I started teaching about this back on the left-hand side of this graph. And look over there on the right-hand side of the graph, how the price of solar, that's that red line, look how high that was. And now it's $60. See where it says $60 in red over there on the lower right? That means $60 a megawatt hour. You have to divide by 1,000 to get kilowatt hour, and it's 6 cents a kilowatt hour. So it used to be 49 cents, almost 50 cents a kilowatt hour, and now it's 6 cents. Look over at the lower right again. Onshore wind, less than 5 cents a kilowatt hour. So the cheapness is great. It makes more progress than mere morality of well-meaning citizens. So onshore wind and solar are cheaper, actually, than fossil fuel electricity. So what's the problem? Well, as you know, utilities have to balance the grid all the time. The supply of electricity has to exactly equal the demand all the time. Very cheap wind and solar power have actually negative selling prices at times of low demand and excess supply. That's hard on the suppliers. But sometimes the grid needs more electricity than wind and solar could supply, and that's hard for utilities. So this little argument makes you understand the importance of storage. We have to have a lot of storage, and storage has to be cheap enough to use it. So we're going to talk about wind, solar, marine energy, geothermal, biomass, but we're also going to talk about storage. So solar has a lot of stuff: photovoltaics, concentrated solar, district heating. I'll try to talk a little bit about green hydrogen production and why we care about that, green ammonia production, green methanol production. I'm trying to kind of hit on things that you might not have heard of before or haven't read much about. So I'm sort of emphasizing the things that I want you to take away and say, wow, that's exciting, let me study it more. So photovoltaics, there's a lot of stuff. Utility scale, rooftops, windows, balconies, canal covers, parking lots. Vertical bifacial solar is kind of cool. Look at the lowest picture. I think we have another couple slides on that. Agrivoltaics, floating photovoltaics in reservoirs, lakes, ocean, in space. We're going to talk about that. There's something called cadmium telluride photovoltaics that's really coming on strong. So there's technologies of, I say the bottom word, but I can't pronounce it. Okay. So cadmium telluride I can. And this is from my class, January 30th, 2026. This is very current. Physicists predict significant growth for cadmium telluride photovoltaics. And it shows all the people that some of these are in the US where we can be sort of happy about it. And notice the second thing down, US Department of Energy's National Laboratory of the Rockies. That used to be the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and it got its name changed, just like the Department of Defense changed its name too, and the Gulf of Mexico. So there's some name changing going on. But this is a breakthrough that people are working on, and it's exciting, and obviously I don't have time to tell you about it. This is kind of agrivoltaics. This comes from December last year, PV magazine. Cattle grazing under solar power. And the article itself said the US has 120 million acres of cattle pasture under heat and water stress. And when you put up some panels, you get cooler ground, so you get better grass and more water retention and more beef. So this is great. And the cooler ground in the 13-foot elevation keeps the panels cooler, so you get more electricity. So this is kind of a win-win situation. Here's a nice picture of agrivoltaics for tea plantations from January this year. Top performing agrivoltaic crops. Well, under solar panels, you do well to have your leafy greens and your root vegetables and your berries and your herbs and crop covers. And in all those cases, more grazing there of sheep. In all those cases, you're saving water and you're increasing the production of your agricultural product or your animal, and you're generating electricity. So this is really win-win. This is a vineyard in France, better wine. And I thought you'd like to know this. Since 2022, it's been mandatory in France to install parking lot photovoltaics on parking lots with at least 80 spaces, new and existing. And the rest of this article is about a grocery store that is doing that. And the bottom line says this grocery store expects at least half of their projects to be completed by 2026. And the middle sentence says the company wants to complete climate neutrality by 2030. So in other parts of the world, grocery stores really care. Vertical bifacial PV generates electricity on both sides of it. And you see it doesn't generate as much electricity when the sun is really high in the sky. It's more in dawn and setting sun when it's not high in the sky. So, but it does different wonderful things. It's more productive than solar horizontal. And if you're in a snowy place, the snow falls off. And it stays cleaner. And they stay cooler. And that's more efficient for photovoltaics. So vertical bifacial photovoltaics is really wonderful. Look at that, we could do that. That's South Korea. Now, I just love this part. Space-based solar power. It's even got an acronym. Okay, space solar. Systems that harvest solar energy in space and beam it wirelessly down to receivers on Earth in a steady 24/7 stream, because they can always have the sun. It's not in the shade. So Isaac Asimov thought this was a great idea in 1941. But in 2011, Caltech got $100 million to work on this, which they did and are. And this was from June 2023. Caltech Space Solar Power Demonstrator wirelessly transmits power in space, and then they wirelessly transmitted power from space down to ground. And the European Space Agency is working on the Solaris project, which started in 2023, similar thing. And Japan, in 2025, became the first nation to successfully wirelessly transmit solar energy collected in space directly to a receiver on Earth. So this is all super exciting. And when you think how much things have changed, you know, the fact that that seems futuristic is backwards. That is, these futuristic things happen all the time. This is way cool. Oh, and I thought this was kind of practical. Space-based systems, you have to have terrestrial receivers. So in the UK, they said you could attach the receivers to wind turbines, and that way you would have them connected to wires. You know, already you wouldn't have to build new wires or anything like that. And another place said you could attach them to agrivoltaic facilities because, again, you have wires. And you could do this for marine energy, too. You have wires out there. And if you had wave generators floating, you could attach receivers to them. Well, this is very current. February 1st, 2026. SpaceX. It's kind of funny. proposes 1 million solar-powered data centers in Earth orbit. That picture came from the article in Clean Technica. On January 30th, SpaceX filed a request to launch up to 1 million solar-powered satellites that will serve as data centers for artificial intelligence. By harnessing near-constant solar power with little operating or maintenance costs, these satellites will achieve transformative cost and energy efficiency while significantly reducing the environmental impact associated with terrestrial data centers. So we'll have to ask that guy in next month's talk how he feels about this. Also, space-based AI cooling leverages the deep vacuum of space, so your orbital data centers don't have to be water cooled and don't have to use energy to cool them. And by the way, there's AI stuff in Iceland where it's cool too. So having it in cool places is a good idea. So wind power. Well, there's a lot of wind power. There's onshore wind power, ocean bed wind power, floating wind power. Onshore wind does a lot of stuff. Electricity, district heating. Oh, we'll have to get to the green hydrogen. This repetition is good. I've got you thinking about green hydrogen, green ammonia, and green methanol. What are they? Total wind. Okay, look at that graph from 2000 to 2024 and agree with me, a math person, that it's exponential. You with me? This is not linear. This is exponential growth. This is good news. Lots of wind power. I'll read the bottom part. 1,300 gigawatts. You have to take my course to be thinking about gigawatts. But that's equivalent electricity production to over 500 nuclear power plants. Would you like to build 500 nuclear power plants? Or would you like all this wind power? This is really exciting. Offshore wind. Since 2012, the global capacity has increased tenfold. That's a huge increase. Marine wind turbines provided almost 50 gigawatts of installed capacity. This equates to around 30 nuclear power plants and would be sufficient by German standards to reliably supply 100 million households with electricity. German households use less electricity than us. Floating wind. Japan can't put wind turbines off the shore, which North Carolina can do, and Virginia can do, and Long Island can do, but Japan can't because it's volcanic, and so it has to float its offshore wind turbines, and it does. Now, this shows you who the good guys are. Global offshore wind capacity new in 2025. Mainland China. I wonder how Jim Lindbergh feels about this. UK, Germany, Taiwan, France, South Korea, Netherlands. Geothermal. I got to get to storage. Enhanced geothermal is available anywhere. That way you use the Earth's heat to warm your water and turn it to steam and turn turbines and generate electricity. And there's heat down there everywhere, but you have to dig deep in some places. So enhanced geothermal is digging deep. This is baseload energy. It's not intermittent. You get geothermal energy all the time. The Earth is hot. So it's like a nuclear power plant. And it uses the drilling skills of oil and gas. So we might get oil and gas companies working on this. And if you're thinking, how do you dig that deep? Lasers. Is that exciting? Laser digging. Look at that great picture. That's a video, but we can't watch it. I'm sorry. Okay. Conventional and enhanced geothermal systems in the U.S. Okay, this is the U.S., so we've got something here. And all the blue ones we already have, conventional geothermal, and the red ones are digging deeper where we're working on it. We don't have the hot water so close to the surface in the red places. And the U.S. is doing it. Trump actually likes geothermal. So enhanced geothermal is the digging deep kind. The first large-scale commercial enhanced geothermal system under construction in Utah expects to come online in June 2026. This is it, the first one in the U.S. And that's from the U.S. Energy Information System Agency. That should be an A where it says system. It should be agency, which hasn't had its name changed. Geothermal has the power, this is from an advertiser. Geothermal has the power density and scalability of fossil fuels, allowing us to put clean energy on the grid quickly. Deep geothermal energy is at the core of an energy-independent world. And they tell you how they drill. And they want to sell you one of these drills. Okay, the U.S. Geological Survey estimates that 135 gigawatts, this is base load energy, so 135 gigawatts is like 135 power plants. A nuclear power plant is like 1 gigawatt. So if you have steady energy like geothermal, you could say 135 gigawatts is like 135 nuclear power plants. But if you had 135 gigawatts of solar, it's not 135 nuclear power plants because the sun isn't shining all the time. That's sort of like the maximum number. So it's about a quarter. If you're looking at gigawatts solar, it's about a quarter of that when it comes to nuclear power plants. But look, in the middle, it says 150 gigawatts of cost-effective geothermal power generation could be operating. And that's 150 nuclear power plants. Which would be better? Geothermal or building 150 nuclear power plants? Just, you got to dig deeper. Hydropower. This first sentence is terribly important. Unlike solar, wind, or geothermal, hydropower alone could not provide all the world's energy. Solar could, by itself, not just electricity, all the energy. So could wind by itself. So could geothermal by itself, but not hydropower. It's limited by water constraints, and we often dislike it for ecological issues. But as we'll see, a lot of, well, a dozen or so nations currently have 100% renewable electricity, essentially from hydropower. You can also get electricity from moving rivers and current, like the Gulf Stream, and you can have little dams and streams, little streams, producing local energy called microhydro. And this is something Germany has just invented. I don't quite understand it, but it's this year. Engineers developed compact 10 kilowatt, that's very small, turbines that sit in streams without dams, providing 24/7 power to homes or small communities. They are fish-friendly, that's nice to know, and require minimum maintenance. And I thought this canal power generation was interesting. Atlanta-based, that's in the US, raised $18.4 million to expand its technology, which installs turbines in existing irrigation canals to generate carbon-free energy. So think of all those irrigation canals in California. In addition to put solar panels over them, preventing evaporation, cooling the solar panels, you could put turbines in them. In-pipe energy installed a system in a municipal water line, generating up to 300 kilowatt hours. Those are the things that you buy for 12 cents each, so that's valuable per year to power a nearby high school, reducing energy costs. This is a US thing. And microhydro, the little ones, is replacing diesel generators in remote off-grid areas such as Nepal. Well, actually all these places: Nepal, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, China, India, Malaysia, Philippines, Myanmar, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Japan, and Congo and South Africa. And here it mentions Germany's little suitcase units again. And I used to, in my class, I showed a wonderful video about this community in Alaska. This is in the US. They put in a river that generates electricity from the run of the river very successfully. And they were having to be sure it wasn't harming their salmon. And you could get energy from the Gulf Stream. People are working on that. Marine energy is one of my favorites because the Earth is covered with water. 70% of Earth is water, and the water is in motion, and water is heavy, and it contains a lot of kinetic energy. Look at that second sentence. Water is 800 times denser than air. So picture a wind turbine, and now picture water turning it. Very successful. Moving water contains a lot of energy. So this would be great for islands and coastal communities, and you can't see it. It won't annoy anyone, and it doesn't take up land. These are two headlines. Swedish tidal energy developer, current, February 3rd, 2026. And then from January 29th, so the Swedes are working on wave energy. They're working on tidal energy. This is renewable energy, and a lot of it is hydropower. And there we're back to a graph that shows where our electricity is coming from and how our need for electricity is going uphill from 1985 to 2024. And too much of it is coming from coal, alleged natural gas. There is nothing natural about gas. You don't call it natural oil. Electricity does not come from oil, much. Electricity does come from nuclear. A lot of electricity comes from hydropower, wind, solar, bioenergy, other renewables. So the top is getting more important, but the bottom is still way too important. So the movement is to get rid of the bottom and go to the top stuff, the good stuff. This came from CBS News last year, and they alleged, experts up there in CBS News alleged that renewables remain the most cost-competitive form of generating and distributing energy, and they gave low prices for onshore wind and utility-scale solar, higher prices for solar, higher prices for coal, gas, and nuclear. So that is the hope, actually. Thanks to the engineers, the people who care about facts, the people who know stuff, and how they have made it cheap. Because it's cheap, it's happening, and it's going to happen more and more. So that's another article about the same thing. It says this different article from the International Energy Association. It was their report at the end of 2025. And they said onshore wind is the most affordable source of new generation. 3.4 cents a kilowatt hour. That is very cheap. Solar, 4.3. Hydropower, 5.7. I was surprised that hydropower was higher than the other two. But this comes from the International Energy Association, a very authoritative source. What do we have to electrify? Heat, transport, manufacturing, agriculture, industry, aviation, heating and cooling. How are you going to do that? Well, you could have a ground source heat pump for residential heating, district heating, electric heating, aquifer thermal energy. Let me tell you about that. Heating swimming pools, fish farms, and so forth from geothermal. This is what you need in your house, a geothermal heat pump. UNCA has two of its buildings heated this way, the Whiteside building and the science building, the new science building. No, the old science building. Anyway, the pipes in the ground pick up 55 degrees all the time, and you can use that to heat your house when it's 30 or 20 outside. You have to up it a little bit with electricity. You don't want your house at 55, but it's almost the right temperature for your house, and it's super good for cooling. So whatever money you're spending on air conditioning, you could be using a geothermal heat pump. District heating supplies approximately 10% of global building heat. China, Russia, Europe, not much in the US. But this is the US, February 1st this year. Aquifer thermal energy system comes to Minnesota. It's a similar idea of using the constant temperature of the water to heat and cool. Transportation. Oh, sorry. Transportation. Elon Musk told us that battery swapping was a really stupid idea. In other countries, they do a lot of battery swapping. I have a real cool video. These come from videos. That's a little video of a battery swapping station up there on the top in China where the car just drives into it, swaps the battery, drives off. Trucks especially like it because trucks are making money going, and that bottom picture is a truck battery swapping, totally automated. So I want you to remember battery swapping in addition to electric vehicles. Oh, these are the electric vehicles in countries: Norway, Sweden, China, UK, Switzerland, percents, EU, Canada, Australia, US, 10%. These are battery swapping articles that I could have told you about. Modular battery swapping Madrid, Thailand, fewer batteries. Fast battery charging is harder on your battery than slower, so, battery swapping is good. And this is it's just something you might want to know about. This new solid-state battery, solid-state batteries, yeah, we got to get to all the kinds of batteries. Will take your car 800 miles. That's an electric ferry. That's running on green ammonia. Remember, you're supposed to remember green ammonia, green methanol, green hydrogen, a little more on that coming up. Green ammonia is a fuel and fertilizer. It's made of green hydrogen. So you use green hydrogen to make green ammonia. What's green hydrogen? You electrolyze water. You use renewable energy, carbon-free energy, solar and wind electricity to electrolyze water, splitting it into water's H2O. So you split it into hydrogen and oxygen, and you store up the hydrogen. So you've got kind of stored electricity. You can use the hydrogen in a fuel cell, or you can use to make electricity again, or you can use the hydrogen to make green ammonia. Why would you want to do that? Well, more on that in a second, but green ammonia is a nice fuel. When am I supposed to stop anyway? Am I supposed to stop at 8? Huh? Okay. Okay, so that's about fertilizer. Oh, look at that ship. That is green methanol ship. Now, green methanol powers ships. It also is an aviation fuel. Lego uses it to make plastics. Where does it come from? Well, it comes from green hydrogen. So green hydrogen we have to get to. There's another green methanol ship. Okay, this is about how it's hard to do aviation. Oh, I have to get to green hydrogen. Okay, green steel and green cement. Around 8% of greenhouse gases are emitted by coal-based steel making. That's 8% of greenhouse gases. No, you can't do that. They're making green steel, and Volvo is buying it. So Volvo is buying green steel. Green cement, they make green cement. Green cement is responsible, cement is responsible for 8% of greenhouse gases. Green cement fixes that. People make green cement. These are countries with nearly 100% renewable electricity. I have to get to the hydrogen part. Those are countries leading the way with renewables. These are countries, the red ones have 100%. No, the red ones are bad. The dark blue ones are the good countries. And some of those countries in Africa have 100% renewable electricity, but they haven't got very much electricity, and it's hydropower. Okay, can't do that. Wait, nope. Pumped hydro, yeah. Pumped hydro variations, ocean pumped hydro, new batteries, sodium ion batteries. I'm sorry, I just have to get to hydrogen. Green hydrogen, okay, you make green hydrogen by hydrolyzing water. And you use green hydrogen in steel making, green steel making. You use it in green cement. You use it to make ammonia for fertilizers. You use it to make methanol for fuel. You can power things with green hydrogen. Fuel cell electric vehicles, they have green hydrogen at filling stations in California. Fuel cell electric vehicles run on hydrogen. Generators run on hydrogen. Green hydrogen is wonderful. And here's the most interesting part of the course. Green ammonia comes from green hydrogen. Green methanol comes from green hydrogen. But notice those transportation temperatures. Liquid natural gas has to be kept at minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Liquid hydrogen, if you're transporting it, has to be kept at minus 423 degrees Fahrenheit. But liquid ammonia doesn't have to be kept real cold. So what they do is they take hydrogen, make it into ammonia, so you can carry it around the world at a reasonable temperature, and then make it back into hydrogen again for green coal, green cement, all those things. This is a liquefied hydrogen carrier, but that hydrogen is cold. Compressed air storage, liquid air storage, you make your air really, really cold, store it as a liquid, then release it like a balloon and generate electricity again. Oh, sand-based heat storage, thermal storage. You heat your sand to 1,000 degrees centigrade and keep it there. Now you can use it to generate electricity by boiling water. You can use it for district heating. There are sand batteries. This is about reservoir thermal. Vehicle to grid. Oh yeah, you got all these electric vehicles. You can store electricity in their batteries and use it on the grid. Gravity storage. Oh, great idea. You use excess. Picture you have excess electricity. You lift something heavy up, and then when you want to have electricity, you let it fall down and it turns the turbine and generates electricity. Gravity storage. You heard it first here. Who's doing it? China. Big surprise. Oh, more gravity energy storage in China. Okay, I did it.
That was terrific and extremely entertaining. So thank you. And we learned a lot. Well, only you know that. So now it's time for the Q&A, and we do have a maybe or some questions. Okay, nothing yet. Okay. Well, Dave Erb will be bringing around the microphone. I'll also be bringing around another microphone, and please wait till you get the microphone to talk, because if not, the people on Zoom can't hear anything you're saying. So with that, who has the first question? Anyone have a question?
Maybe it's all clear. It was meant to be inspirational. That is, I didn't have time to explain how anything works. Do that in my class, renewable energy around the world.
Dot, can I make a comment?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
I'd like to point out that we have 2 gigawatts of storage, and I don't know how many gigawatt hours, probably gigawatt weeks of storage an hour south of here on the grid. Lake Jocassee, Kiowee, and Bad Creek.
So we didn't get a chance to talk about pumped hydro storage, which is most of the storage in the world. And Dave points out that we have it right here. More than 90% of the world's electricity storage is pumped hydro. 90%. And what that means is when you have excess electricity, you push water uphill. And then when you need electricity, you let it fall down like a dam, and it turns turbines and generates electricity. So this water stored high is storing your electricity, and then you can let your electricity run down. Thanks. And some of the slides that we couldn't see were about variations of pumped hydro, like say Norway has lots of elevation changes, as you know, if you've ever been to Norway, and they have like 100% hydropower electricity. They have rules, laws about buying electric cars. That's why they have so many electric cars. But they sell oil, so, you know, it's not a perfectly moral country. You can do pumped hydro, Dave. I don't know if you studied this. You could do pumped hydro in the ocean. If you don't have these hills to store your water on, picture this. You've got a big container in the ocean. Oh, let it be, say, full of water. When you have excess electricity, you push the water out. And then when you need electricity, you let the water in again, and it turns turbines and generates electricity. So there's ocean pumped hydro storage in addition to land pumped hydro storage. And the ocean is real big, so, you know, there's no constraints about needing a nearby hill or anything. Pumped water storage is really great.
I just thought I'd add a quick comment. Thank you for your talk. I love your first comment that America is currently an oasis of stupidity. Wired magazine had a really good article that feeds into this. I'm sure you saw it. They had a whole magazine about China, and one of the articles was about Chinese solar and how their solar is now being produced so cheaply that it's upended their energy markets, and of course they're exporting solar everywhere except the US. So if anybody wants to do some additional reading, that Wired magazine article was really good.
Thank you. China is a leader in everything. It's selling solar panels, making solar electricity, selling wind turbines, selling wind electricity. China, I hate to say this, but it's when it comes to renewable energy, it's kind of an argument that maybe democracy is not best, because you could have more wise leaders if you weren't electing them. Now, it could go wrong, so I'm not suggesting we revolt or anything, but China is wonderful. I hope Jim Lenberg agrees. Yes.
We need the mic.
You made a comment early on about Musk proposing to launch a 1 million solar panel satellites.
No, it's 1 million separate panels. I could go find you that slide. You can put it into Google. SpaceX, just put like SpaceX AI solar satellites or something like that, and you'll get all the articles about it. He requested to put up 1 million satellites that were going to wirelessly transmit energy to each other and down to Earth when they wanted to, and they could access the solar power of the sun because they weren't in Earth's shadow, and it's cooler, and so it's a cool idea. Space is getting crowded, and there's a lot of space debris, and keeping everything from hitting each other in space is a big problem. So it's not like an easy solution or anything, but a lot of people are working on SBSP, space-based solar power. And Elon Musk is.
I wanted to follow up. That was the same question I was going to ask, similar to that. Is that close enough to coming online where you would be able to power all these AI data centers that people don't want in their backyard with the noise, the coal, the whole deal?
That's the idea of not just Elon Musk. It's the idea of 4 or 5 big AI corporations are working on space-based AI, because of those things that you just said. So it's not just Elon Musk. There's a thing called Orbit AI, and there's if you just put into Google, put like space-based AI, and you'll get lots of articles about it. Isn't it amazing how you can do that? Put what you want to know about into Google and find out a lot about it. It's really cool. It's AI. Any other questions? Are you inspired, I hope? There's a question.
Dot.
Maybe there was a slide, but I didn't notice it. What about the whole idea of just conservation, just preventing the use of electricity?
That's the other side of the coin, and it's super important. Usually I have a little disclaimer at the beginning saying, my husband was an economist, and so economists think of terms of supply and demand. This is the supply side. Here's where energy is coming from. Places like Rocky Mountain Institute and all sorts of, like, you have to have building codes, you have to build your buildings right. Electric vehicles are fabulously more efficient than internal combustion engines. So they use less energy, period, than an internal combustion engine. And so efficiency and cutting back on energy usage is super important. And this talk wasn't about it because I couldn't have said all this stuff. But I did mutter something about German homes using less electricity. And by that, I was criticizing our mega mansions and our inordinate use of electricity, where we could do everything more efficiently. And so that's super important, and I'm glad to have you bring it up. Sorry, I didn't have my usual disclaimer. I was perplexed by the microphone. Okay? So, are you more hopeful? Interested in finding out more about all that stuff? And realizing that you live it, well, not you, because you came to this talk, but not you, people in America. Many of them live an extremely deprived life in which they know nothing about any of that because it's not in the papers and it's not on the TV show and it's not in the news. And so you don't learn about that. You don't know that all this cool stuff is going on around the world. So tell all your friends who are probably every bit as with it as you. Tell your do what you can, right? That's what Jane Goodall said. We all do what we can. So thanks for inviting me, and thank to all of you for coming and listening. So
Wait a minute, Dot. I think we got something here.
Oh, online questions. There were people online. Wow.
So both space solar related, popular topic. So the first question is, what medium carries energy from space?
Oh, well, it's always called wireless. If you put in like Caltech space-based energy, they'll discuss microwave.
Great. And the second one, they asked, is space-based solar really cost-effective? And is there a risk of having too many satellites?
There's a lot of stuff in space, and if you put in space debris into Google, you can find the agency that keeps track of all the satellites and tries to warn them if they're going to bump into some other satellite. And then there's a whole bunch of space debris just floating around there that threatens your satellite too. So if Elon Musk were to put 1 million space-based EI satellites up there, it would certainly be more crowded. Now, if you think of it as a big space, you know, it goes way up, and it's bigger than Earth, and so exactly what a serious problem space debris and satellite crowdedness is, I'm certainly not good at speaking of. But it's certainly not cheap. But many, like Meta, is that the name of the AI thing? Meta? Something like that? Is it Meta?
That's Facebook. Meta is Facebook.
Meta is Facebook, Meta, Google. All those large corporations are doing stuff looking into space-based AI. So they obviously think it's affordable. The good thing about a corporation is it exists to make money. And so people think hard and use facts and try to make money. And if they're working on it, they think that they may make money doing that. And if that turns out to be so, that will be good. If you can make money with space-based solar power, that will be good. So the fact that's kind of the bottom line of this talk. I didn't talk about demand. I only talked about supply, but Joe, my husband, the reason why we'll save the planet is economic. And we can thank the scientists and engineers and the forward-looking people who have funded the research, who have made it cheap. We need to thank them that it's cheap. A lot of people, because it's going to happen, and it's going to happen more and more and more, because it's cheap. So many of you put up solar power when it wasn't cheap. Thank you. Many of you drove electric vehicles when they weren't the thing. Thank you. We need everyone to do it. And they're going to because it's cheap.
Let's give Dot another round of applause for a great presentation. Thank you so much. And before anybody leaves, I made a big mistake earlier. I left out someone who needed to make an announcement. Jim Talbert, would you like to come up and tell us about your blog that you all may be interested in?
Sure, on a moment of hope. So I've started a new weekly publication to look at what each of us can do to reduce our carbon footprint and reduce our emissions, that's really designed for the 52% of Americans that are alarmed or concerned about climate change, which I'm assuming everybody in here easily fits into that category. When you think of climate change, we often think of systemic change, which is absolutely needed. And many of us have been working for decades on that, and we're going to continue working for decades on systemic change. The individual behavior are things we can change today, that there's no law telling us we can't do it on the demand side, on the electrification side. Stop by the table outside for Let's Go Electric and sign up for their great services. But if you sign up for this blog, what you'll get is an overview of what the most critical pieces that you can look at in your behavior are that cause emissions, and how you can go about changing those to reduce your emissions that both have an effect on our global emissions, create the marketplace for the companies that want to sell us the more favorable products. So while 52% of Americans are alarmed or concerned about climate change, only 8 or 10%, depending on whose statistics you're using, of the new cars that are being sold right now are EVs. They also create social norms in your neighborhood so that your neighborhoods or your relatives will see you doing these friendly behaviors, and they also set us up to be able to speak to our politicians from a position of integrity where we can say, we're doing these changes in our lives and we need your help. Not we want you to tell us to behave differently because we're not willing to behave that way on our own. So the blog is on Substack. If you think of the word commit, it's putting the carbon dioxide back into your commitment, CO2 MMIT, CO2 MMIT on Substack. You could stop by and I'll hand you a little piece of paper that would remind you of that. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you. And sorry I didn't get you earlier. But again, thanks everyone for being here tonight. Dot, for that really hopeful presentation. I think we all did learn a lot. And please do join us again next month for crypto mining and AI data centers. And maybe if we're lucky, maybe they will end up in space and not your backyard. So have a good evening. Very good.